full lockdown will be over and we'll be able to fly with gay abandon. But we must learn the lessons from last time. When last lockdown was over, everyone raced into the sky, and in 3 months there were 166 reported incidents. So this time, let's be a little bit safer, and we're going to introduce you to sort of simple pre-flight checks and in-flight checks and also post-flight checks that help you stay that little bit safer. The first phase of pre-flight planning can all be done at home. So get your kit out and check it all. Make sure the material's not a bit mouldy or the mice haven't chewed at it. And also check your harness and check your reserve, the handle, the pins, the routing and the bridles. Make sure it's all perfect. If you can get out and ground handle, fantastic. If you can't, it doesn't matter. Just open the wing up, check everything, get everything nice and dry, pack it, and get ready for when it is flyable. Make sure your radios are charged and that your varios have all the latest updates. When you and your kit are all sorted, then check the site guide. Make sure there's nothing new or nothing's been changed, and refresh yourself on all aspects of it, from the takeoff and the landing to the parking, and also the airspace if you're thinking of going cross-country. If you are an experienced cross-country pilot, then also consider going to quieter sites and leaving the lesser experienced pilots to use the bigger and safer sites. But I would always recommend you go with friends, whether it's your little pod of pilot friends or whether you're going to a site that's big enough that's already got pilots on it, because the important thing is enjoying each other's company and checking each other. When you get to the site, make sure you buddy up with your friends or identify yourself to the club coach or other pilots. If you can, try and do as much ground handling as possible, because that really builds your skill set and confidence before you fly. But if you're going to ground handle, don't do it on the takeoff and don't do it in the landing field. Free up that space for the pilots already flying. When you've done enough ground handling and you are confident to fly, then it is time to approach the takeoff area. Now, pre-flight checks. Make sure everything is checked and checked again, and then build your wall, get yourself ready, and give a really good 360 look around. Look out for those guys coming in top landing behind you. And before you actually inflate and run, look at the airspace, look at the weather, and make sure everything is perfect for when you fly. When you take off, give yourself a nice committed run and get yourself in the air, refreshed and excited. But once you're soaring, if it's soarable, then yes, stay close enough to stay up. But if you don't need to be really close, then don't be. Increase that safety bubble. While you're soaring, just refresh yourself on airlock. I always do. You know, I'm flying along and I think, okay, the hill's on my right, so I'm in the right. And just those simple refreshers really do help. Also, refresh yourself on a simple SIV. Imagine yourself, okay, if I had a deflation now, I'd lean away from the deflation, I'd maintain my course, and I'd pump the deflation out. Just little things like that. Just moving your body, training yourself, getting yourself relaxed and familiar with the glider and the conditions and the site. If you are soaring quite close to the hill, then just get into the habit of weight shifting away from the hill, so that if you did have a collapse on the hillside, the glider will remain as straight as possible, and it'll give you enough time to react on the brakes and maintain a safe course to either fly away or to pump it out. If the lift band is large, then give each other plenty of room, and also fly predictably, looking and then weight shifting and turning, so that other people can read your body language. Be polite and respect each other's space. And when it starts to get thermic, and out front people are thermaling and drifting onto the soarable site, then it's time to really keep a good lookout, because you're now mixing soaring conditions with thermaling conditions, blending rules of the ridge with simple thermaling air law. But this highlights the importance of keeping a good lookout and flying very predictably, so that other pilots can read you and fly with you, and you can all have a great time. After about 10 or 20 minutes of relaxed soaring and thermaling time, then think of things to do, certain challenges that you can learn from, but just take it easy. And remember, you haven't flown for a long time, so if you could do 2 hours last time, think of the temperature, think of your ability, and perhaps after about 30 minutes consider coming in for a top landing if it's safe, or landing at the bottom, having a crack with your mates, and going back up and having another fly. I think the first few hours of your air time should be focused on comfort flying, just getting back in the air, enjoying the glider and the conditions, and just gently building up your confidence and ability. And after a few hours, it's then that you should start thinking about pushing your performance curve and getting yourself into the arousal zone, so that you're stimulated and performing at a pace that is suitable for your level and your skill set. Another good way of keeping safe is keep your variables down, because if you fly a new site with a new glider in new spring conditions, then you're exposing yourself to unnecessary risk. If you are going to change those variables, then try and change them one at a time. So fly a familiar site, but with a new glider. If you've had a good flight and you're a little bit cold, and well before you get too tired, it's time to think about landing. Make sure, whilst you're flying, you look at the landing field, refresh yourself on the approach, join a circuit and watch others land as well, making sure you know exactly which way to face on your final approach. And just make sure you have that final lookout for those horrible little obstacles like power lines, trees and walls. Lose your height on the boundary of the field and give yourself as much runway as possible to come in with speed, doing correctional controls and flare nice and hard, and touchdown and land. Make sure you do not let the glider dive forwards and hit the leading edge on the ground first, because it can damage the cloth by the beading, and if it's very violent you can burst the internal walls. Getting the glider down, away from other people coming in, and then walking off to the side of the field to pack it. You should have all the time in the world to pack your glider. Packing it in the sausage, protecting the beading, and making sure all the lines are perfect, because the time you invest in packing it now is time saved when you go to fly another time. If you think the glider might be a little bit damp, it's always best practice to get the glider home, open it up in a big ball in a spare room or anywhere dry, and leave it overnight, and then repack it with plenty of time, getting everything exactly right for the next time you fly. Well, I hope you have a lovely time back in the air. So please stay safe, enjoy your flying, and keep a good lookout.